All right, we got a little tag at the top. We've never done this before, but as you'll hear in the episode, we're starting a community outside of all the social overlords that control the algorithms and what everybody sees. And the best way to get an invite to the Discord community, if you're not familiar with Discord, you will quickly become familiar with it. I promise you, and I'll help you through it, even if you need assistance. But if you go to our Instagram bio, there's going to be a link in there. It's a link tree with all our other social links, but you'll see a community link there for the Discord server and what we're calling the Insider Garage or Insider's Garage, which is kind of like a newsletter or just a way to keep up to date with all of the exclusives, bonus content, exclusives across the board, content, collaborators, anything that we're doing. And I just wanted to bring Nick here on the top after I showed him how the whole walkthrough and flow is to give me some thoughts and let everybody know that he's going to be in there as well.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's going to be interesting about Discord is, it's very interactive. It's a place where you can just go and talk to like-minded people, but also ask questions, get input from people. You're working on a car, I need some help. What do you guys like here? I mean, one of the things I'll put into the Toyota Lexus Discord is going to be I'm really looking for advice on lights and different parts and things like that. So I think it's just a place where if you're not familiar with it, it's very easy to understand once you take a couple minutes to understand it.
Yeah.
So, but it's just a place where you basically can go in there and talk to everybody and, ask questions or just give an opinion or say something about an episode or whatever you want to do.
Yeah, and then also build community amongst each other. I like the fact that a lot of people that send us emails or DMs or whatever kind of message, they, could have a good conversation with each other. And now you'll have a place to actually do that on our Discord. Clutch Culture Collective is what we're calling it. Might even change the name if, everybody collaboratively says this is a better name and we just decide and kind of vote on it. But that is the tag at the top. Nick, I got nothing else. Everybody enjoy the show. So am I going to have to sell the Raptor and buy a Rivian?
Oh, yeah, I don't think that's coming. But you saw the. I'm guessing anybody that's been following Rivian or ever entered your email into Rivian, they released the pricing, and once again, it seems like we are completely off base from the announcement over 2 years ago or 18 months ago or whatever it was. Correct?
So tell me because you've been probably more up to date with it than I have as far as like even getting emails from HQ. Like what was the expectation when you first started following these announcements were going to be coming and then
that it was going to be a Model Y type of moment, that it was going to be, 45 to, 60 grand depending on the options. And the email that I got, and I can't go off, I didn't really follow up much, but I sent you the screenshot of the email I got is the starting price is, basically $58,000, 57 and some change.
Yeah. So I told Nick,
we're way beyond, anything that I thought was the purpose of this R2.
So I told Nick, because South by Southwest kicked off for yesterday from the time we're recording this, and I was like, I'll go just take the Raptor and rock claw over there and see what's going on, ask some questions, jokingly, obviously. And then some articles started to come out. So whether it's Car and Driver, Car Scoops, Motor One, whatever, I'm going to read you off some of the things that they reported. So the launch spec performance model goes on sale this spring, starting at $59, which was a little bit higher even than the email that you sent, right? It was
Yeah,
57?
the email I got was 57 and change.
So that's for the 450 horsepower premium. And then next year in 28, the R2 would add a rear-wheel drive variant, 2 batteries for 46.
So I'll ask everybody this question. If R2 is to make a splash, and I'm sure there's supply chain reasons or some reason they would give corporately, why isn't it reverse?
Right.
We keep running into this conversation with car companies. That's not to pick on Rivian. I think top to bottom, they are probably operating the most intelligently in the electric space, meaning like staying in their lane. This is who we're trying to sell to, taking control of all of the things they can take control of, which, by the way, isn't really everything. But they are talking about the future and what needs to be done internally. They were one of the first companies to talk about getting really heavily involved in the used car market of their cars internally. Did they make it happen? Not necessarily, but they were talking about it very early on about basically making it where they became a used car dealer and cut out people trading their cars in other places and things like that. So I do think they're forward thinking. But this just seems to be a blind spot in the automotive business Just like we say the 2-year, 3-year outlook, look what's happened to Scout. All of a sudden now it's like, well, the administration isn't friendly, so we're going to postpone it to 2028, see who gets elected. Oh, wait a minute, it's a technical issue at the manufacturer. Come on, it's the $7,500 went away. You guys don't see it as an EV-friendly environment in the markets that you care about, so you're just backing away. But instead of saying that, because you put Scout so far in the future, you became susceptible to political environments, right? You became a problem. And this is where I say with Rivian, this is another backwards way of doing things. The way to drive people to Rivian is to show the $46,000 one, get it on the market, stop fooling around. I would just continue to say to our followers and our fans, these CEOs need to talk to people like us, to talk to people like you, and explain why this stuff continues to happen. That's my 2 cents.
It you talked about it maybe a week or two ago about Scout, and then to see this from Rivian, who we hold as, like, for whatever reason, maybe because obviously they've been doing stuff longer and Scout's still kind of like an idea, but this is another example of that really seems like lazy thought out rollout. Like, if you're going to do this at South by, you're going to do this through your emails that people have been following for a long time. I just don't get it. We know these people are smart. We know that
Yes,
they've been
they
in the
are.
business, whether it's in EVs or
Smart investors,
yeah.
smart executives. They've gotten the design right from the beginning. They give you that elevated experience in everything that they do. They have, even their truck had all of these little secret compartments that you go, hey, somebody's thinking about stuff.
Yeah.
Which is, by the way, not what we can say about every car company out there. Like, they are thinking about things. So you pat them on the back for all these years. And now it's time for them to become more consumer friendly. That's the promotion over the last 18 to 24 months. And here we are again, that we're another 18 months away from the consumer friendly thing happening, which is going to equal about 4 years of everybody waiting around. But I think they've taken a plan that's pretty easy to see, is that they've gone the influencer route. And they go, we're just going to, give all of these YouTubers, by the way, some of these guys are just tech guys telling you what cars to buy. It's like, sorry, I'm not listening to that guy. If you guys listen to those people, that's up to you. But they are seemingly being really intelligent in the modern era by getting influencers to buy into them and not talk about the negatives of something like what just happened. Is essentially we're going to be somewhere between 3 and 4.5 years from what they promised.
If you were to read this headline, or if you were to rewrite this headline, how would you rewrite 2027 Rivian R2 will launch with 656 horsepower and cost under $60,000?
I would write, we're 2 years away, it looks like, or another year away from what was promised. That would be my headline. The R2 seems like something that EV fans and people that are just interested, like, hey, I might dip my toe into an EV. I think Rivian's a great choice. We're right back into the same thing, though, is that for some reason, Rivian, who has done a lot of things differently in their way, is still following the trends of legacy car companies in this fashion of taking forever to get to the goddamn point. I don't really understand that. You guys are a forward-thinking company, but you guys are still doing things like legacy auto brands where you're 4 years out on the things that people really care about, which is a more affordable Rivian.
Yeah, and I like how in the subheadline they even say here, offers value that threatens the Tesla Model Y and performance. It challenges the segment's elite. I don't know about that. Also, the front there, you really like the way that looks. The back looks so good to me, and when I see the front, it just kind of like falls flat for me.
Well, it's theirs. The only
Yeah,
thing you can say is
original for sure.
they did something their way. Everyone's going to look at any vehicle and say, I like it, I don't like it. I mean, people like the pig nose on BMW. So everyone's going to be different. The only thing I've ever said about Rivian is they have done things their way. They've thought through what they wanted to be probably better than anyone else, right? And they've stayed consistent to it. We are now in a position where they look like every other automaker in not delivering on a promise they made 2 or so years ago. I don't understand that from a company that seems to be so well thought out.
Yeah, we're just gonna have to keep following this because I'm sure you'll start seeing articles and Reddits if you like to go down the Reddit rabbit holes of what people are feeling about this, where they duped, where they let down. Overall, I mean, if you can really rival something that's really inexpensive, because you forever said, even at well, especially at the beginning, that these experiences were, what did you call it? It was like a $70,000 experience
Yeah,
for the
no. I
price,
mean, Rivian's
or
early trucks were
$125,000
going
price.
for $75,000. You got into to their trucks and you go, how are they making money?
Yeah, it was like a
This is
six-figure
this
experience.
is
Is
a
what you said.
six-figure experience. And I
Yeah.
told everybody that was interested in EVs in my customer base, I said, hey, it's going to be hard to beat Rivian at their price point. Now, very quickly, they understood that they were extremely underwater and started to raise the price. But there was a time you could get those original Rivians that were six-figure type experiences for $75,000, and it was a true quote unquote deal for such an expensive EV at that time, where you get into a Silverado EV that's 80 grand and it feels like a $42,000 truck. I mean, it was one of the rare ones that felt like they had underpriced it.
Well, that's the way to kick off the show with Rivian, kind of giving it to them. You see, a lot of people think we just kind of talk them up, whereas everyone else gets the jabs. They're getting the jabs today. This was not rolled out very well. I'm gonna have to go to South by after this and just see if there's what's left. Are people bummed, or they're just gonna be drunk and be like, I don't care. I didn't, they disappointed.
Well, I think South by Southwest, that's kind of, I mean, they're preaching to the choir there, no?
Yeah.
I mean,
damn it, I was choked on that drink. Everyone you would want to be a Rivian owner is definitely at this event.
yeah, I mean,
They can do no wrong there.
yeah, they could tell them it's 500 grand and they tell you how great it is. I mean, that's their crowd. That's not a jab at anybody. I mean, that's
Sure
their
it is.
crowd. That's their
No, it is.
that is their neck of the woods, man. I mean, you're
That
not
is their
gonna, that's their hunting camp right there. Like that's they're not gonna have any problems. And so I don't know that's. I just think it really stuns me that a company that's operated this intelligently for this long to do something this misguided.
I couldn't agree more. I want to cleanse the palate because you sent me this video where, and I should have followed up of what was going on here. This was straight out of GTA, and this is the kind of nonsense that Nick loves to enjoy on the internet. If you're watching on YouTube, you just saw a car fly through the air like it's Grand Theft Auto into this two-story house. What on God's green earth causes any vehicle? There's no cul-de-sac. I don't see like a roundabout. There was no ramp unless you just look at this. I mean,
I would ask all of our listeners this. Obviously, we all know the trouble of these Ring cameras and the spying and the whatnot, but without them, we're missing all of the best, all of the best content on the internet.
So much.
So, are we giving up privacy to have a laugh? When we wind down, no question, that's what we're doing.
No question. No, not only no question, but I'll sign up for extra. Can I get other people's Ring? As soon as you see a funny video, can it just be sent to me? We're gonna have a Ring feed of just funny videos.
Yeah. The other question I would ask, and I'm in probably the epicenter of wild things happening with cars. People,
without question.
Okay. Why are so many cars flying through the air into homes?
That's a great question.
Now, I don't know if this was going on in my childhood, and because we didn't have these cameras, nobody ever saw it. But it seems like we are now at an exponential level of just insane things happening in neighborhoods. You know what I'm saying? Like the worst thing that would happen when I was growing up, I grew up in a place where it snowed. A car would spin out, maybe go up on a neighbor's lawn, because somebody lost control. It didn't hit the house. Maybe took out some bushes, things like that. I'm sure you guys have stories of wherever you grew up, just something, kids being kids.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like 52-year-olds getting out of cars being in someone's living room.
The craziest one I've seen, it's kind of old at this point, but there was a box truck, okay, that hits like a ditch and somehow was going so fast that it whipped it around and the back of the box truck landed on the roof of a house. If I hadn't seen it on a camera, I'm like, that is impossible. This bitch had how many turbos to be going that fast? It hit it. It looked like Tony Hawk was doing like a kick slide. Boom, back wheels on the roof of a home on a box truck.
And so I have to ask, I mean, we have all different age groups in our audience.
Yeah.
Did we just, if you're 50 plus, did we just get spared all of this because there wasn't a camera? Or have we just gone to a place of insanity where seemingly on just a normal everyday street, middle class America, somebody loses control of a car, you have no idea how. You have no idea. You can't even replay it in your mind how it happened, and all of a sudden they're in Louise's living room. And you're like, how did this happen?
Well, the
Like
crazier...
one of the things that happens here, we have this in spades. At traffic lights that are crowded, there'll just be cars flipped over. And I'm like, how is a car flipped over? Nothing was happening at speed here in the middle of the day. Like everything was going slowly. How did this car get on the roof of the car? How did you get on the roof? How did this happen?
That is pretty crazy if you're just at a stoplight and then all of a sudden you see something on the roof.
And I'm going, what could have happened? I mean, it'll be in the right turn lane. And
sometimes when that happens, I'm like, when you blank out sometimes and you like arrive somewhere and you're like, oh my God, how did I get here? Right? It's
that's
like,
how you end up in someone's living room.
100%. What's even worse is when you see cars going through restaurant. I know you've seen these.
Oh, yeah.
There was a famous one in Houston. There was a couple, videoing their breakfast, and the car just rams into the booth that they were in.
Yeah. So I was an investor in a place that was in a very, like a Class A retail, like, big grocery store, TJ Maxx, whatever. They had those big, huge, like parking stops. You know what I'm talking about? The big concrete ones
things
that rip off the front of everyone's car.
Oh, the really tall ones, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Next to our place was a physical therapist facility. Mm-hmm. The one thing that became apparent is how many older people were driving their cars on pills. Because to get over those things, you'd have to do something absolutely insane in a normal mid-sized SUV or a car. Buddy, they would go up and get stuck on them. It would happen all the time. And if you're sitting in the office of the business that I owned or that I was an investor in, you thought if they keep going, it's coming in to our facility. But they would have had to go over those huge concrete parking structures. And I'm just going, and we would have it on camera because we had cameras. And finally, the guy who was the general manager there goes, you know what, man? These people walk in here. They think we're the physical therapy place. Nothing could be further from the truth of the business. And he was like, they are so hopped up on pills because, again, they have an injury. They're at physical therapy. There's pain management, quote unquote, in between there. And they're just hopped up on pills and they're, 68, 72 years old, just going over these parking barriers. And you're going, how did you not feel the resistance of the parking barrier? So I wonder how much of this that we see on the internet is, people talk about things like drunk driving and weed and all that kind of stuff. How much of this is a 55-year-old off an injury just pilled up and just they have no idea what they're doing?
It's very generous of you to say that, injured, all pilled up. I just think most people are pilled up in general.
we're just hitting, we're just on that Pfizer drip.
100%. They're on something. I think you're 100% right because I'll see people just in the grocery store, speaking of, they'll get out of a nice car or sometimes not a nice car, and they're moving in the same kind of like, I'm in Dazed and Confused, essentially, like after, class, right when I skip class, and I'm like, there's no way you're making it somewhere without hitting something. Like, it just...
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think, we had a situation with my family in a parking lot of a very busy shopping center where a guy basically gets cuffed at the scene, hitting our car, and we have to battle. They know he's under the influence of something. Mm-hmm. Now it becomes all the testing and was it handled right and all of it. You have to go through all of this stuff and you just keep thinking to yourself, we are in a crazy time when everybody at the scene knows this guy's hopped up on something. But if everything's not handled right, he's not really going to get charged.
Yeah.
Right? And let's be fair to our brothers in blue. We've said on this podcast before, big supporters. Also, a lot of balls get dropped. Okay, a lot of balls get dropped, and there may have been some threats from me. Let's be clear. When I found some things may have mishandled, I said I have badge numbers. So
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure things were said. Here's an idea that I'm afraid to say out loud. But as we're seeing automatic balls and strikes being called in spring training, that's going to go into the MLB. We kind of need, and this is where it gets messed up because it's kind of like we have enough tech already. There should be an automatic balls and strikes for situations like that. If the AI can see it through the body cam, like, hey guys, it's pretty cut and dry. Dude's on something. Dude doesn't have insurance. Dude needs to be locked up in cuffs. It'll take 5 minutes max.
I'm with you. So I think we are in this weird stage where we're all finding joy in these insane videos.
Yeah.
We're laughing. I'm sending them to Rob. I'm like, wow, this is unbelievable. I'm sure you guys have that with some of your friends. And then you step back and you go, how the hell does this keep happening?
And then it happens to you.
Yeah, then
like,
you feel differently. Then you feel differently.
Yeah.
Then there's real problems in your world because
then I stopped getting those videos from Nick for a little while. He's like, I gotta let this one cool
but I'm
off.
back.
Okay.
Look,
He's back.
Well,
He's
I'm
back.
back. My algorithm is locked in, dude.
Really?
Oh yeah, my algorithm is locked.
Mine is all over the place right now. You don't even want to know why because it'll turn into a whole different show. But it is crazy. This totally sounds like Dad, get off my lawn, just because, at least for me, you're seeing a slew of things. All right, not just the sleuths, but a slew of other things, and it's just like I don't know what to think these days.
Yeah, I think. By the way, I wonder, all of you out there, this AI dupe stuff. That's just throwing a whole nother wrench to me. I don't
Good
even
or
know.
bad?
I don't even know what's AI, what's not
yes,
AI.
yes. Mm-hmm.
I don't know how Google and YouTube and Instagram is going to fight all of this because we're just at the very tippy top of the iceberg.
I mean, I saw a video caption like this Joe Rogan, Keanu Reeves fight is insane. And I knew it was AI. I was like, I'm not even going to click on it. I just can't do it.
I'm not even going to mess my algorithm up.
Not going to do it.
Yeah, no, it's, you see like they got all these animal videos where an animal's dragging another animal and then you find out it's AI. You're like, we got to screw with nature now. Like the nature videos were this last place that we could just, go, oh man, look at that. That's pretty crazy. Now it's like, that's all AI. I don't know, man. I just know we're all going to get duped a lot more than we think.
There's apparently a big push by YouTube. Hey, YouTube, I know we're on YouTube. We like YouTube, all right? It's got its ups and downs, but it's supposedly on a big crusade to demonetize a bunch of this AI slop channel stuff, which I think is great. Because you and I have talked about off the podcast, one of the fun parts of YouTube and any content search engine is that you want to find something related to the thing you're either wanting to learn about or just whatever, watch. You can't even find good, decent human reviews. You can't watch any kind of explainers, how-tos. And that's kind of what they're after. Like, you pick a fucking thing, man. Like, any item, you go on there, and it's just like the AI voice with AI, B-roll trying to explain something. I'm like, oh god, I can't.
Yeah,
there's nothing.
Dude, and this is where you ask. This is why it's so important, to get back to the car world, for these car companies to be on point.
Yeah.
Because it's also important of who they're aligning with in this quote-unquote influencer world. Are they being pushed to be better, or are they just looking at a bunch of yes men? Are they just looking, and I think this has kind of happened with the Rivian thing we talked about, is like, they talk to plenty of people. They're not a shut-off company. Ford and Chevy, they're a little bit more shut off, right? They just kind of have their media teams handle things and their PR teams, and, nobody's really attached to anything. It's just somebody's job. And you keep saying to yourself, like, we're getting to a point where this stuff is getting so low value. And a lot of the low value is not coming from AI. It's because companies have made it low value. Mm-hmm. Like, having people drive your car around town for a day is becoming even more low value because you've continued to do the same thing. So Rivian has this big launch. They got these people out in the desert or in the mountain area. I even said at the time on this podcast, it's strange the people they picked. Mm-hmm. I said that at the time before any of this announcement. But this is where AI slop meets sloppy corporation, which means, like you said, sloppy creators. And you go, now AI's devaluing things, but it's making us lose sight that you guys are devaluing the real part too.
And the crazy part of going the tech influencer bro kind of route And here's the thing too. We've talked about how people who are already in the automotive space and have been for over a decade, maybe 2 decades plus, are or have become a little more untrustworthy to people on the internet just because, all right, you're not very, I can tell you're not being honest about how this whole situation kind of came to be. And now you throw in the AI tech guys into the mix about cars. You think they're really, their interest is in your best
Great point.
interest of what the car is? Like, no. They're in their gamer chairs. They're fucking reclining, desk chairs all day. They don't care how the
Yeah,
car drives.
the same day they're talking about the 699, MacBook or whatever that just got released, and then they're out in
MacBook Neo.
then they're out in a Rivian,
Yeah,
and you go, well, this doesn't add up,
yeah.
And again, I'm not. If those people are making money off this, more power to them. I'm not.
Kudos.
I'm not mad about any of that. I'm just saying for you, the consumer, we are getting so focused on AI slop, but we don't realize that the slop has already kind of been created in the real system as well. So now you got two sloppy systems just going head to head, and you go, there's the frustration of the viewer. Me as a viewer, I'm not even trying to speak for everyone else. It's like it already wasn't a great system. It was an outdated system. It's been an outdated system. And it's been a little bit of a pay-for-play system, that people have caught on to in different ways. And so you kind of look at all of this and you go, this, guys, is why these car companies are so sloppy, because they're allowed to be. You're going to be as sloppy as they allow you to be.
Oh yeah.
Right? I mean, that's just human nature, and humans are running these companies, obviously. And so everyone's just going to be sloppy. It's like we've said about Kaniskis and Jim Farley and Mary Barra. Like, they are just sloppy because they're allowed to be. You know what I mean? They can just say things and nobody goes, huh? That doesn't add up, man. Can you expand on that? Like, we don't even get that in the real world. Now you throw the AI slop on top of it. I think you have a real question of what the future of all this is.
So speaking of these CEOs and C-suites and executives and whatnot, so Chrysler and Alpha, North America CEO, abruptly exits Stellantis as Dodge boss takes over both. So this young lady, who's been with Chrysler since 2021, Chris, I forgot her last name, Fuel, she exits Stellantis, and essentially they put in a guy that's been at Dodge for a long time. He was running Dodge.
Well, he's running both now, right?
He is running both now, yeah.
That should go well, because it's easy to run 52 different car companies.
Well, Chrysler, Dodge, and Fiat, was it?
Yeah.
Alpha,
yeah.
And you hate to shit on it, but like in the article, he was at the helm of like the newest muscle car launch. That went really well, right?
Yeah,
So it's like
that was thought out.
Yeah, guys, I don't know. It always feels like we're just trying to say that we know better, but I think the audience can tell you that they know better, which lets us feel like what we're talking about sounds better than what these CEOs are kind of telling
and
people.
I think it's always a very big warning sign. It may come out, anybody can have a health issue, which forces them out, or something private's going on. I haven't seen any of that. So then your mind goes to, she knows how big of a shit show this is internally, and she doesn't want her name attached to it, and so she's going to leave abruptly. Not a good look, because you get to a certain level, and you've met somebody in my family who has a very big global position, and I say this very respectfully. To wind down and get somebody to take over those big positions, it's not 5 minutes. I mean, sometimes it's a year, it's 2 years. They already agreed that she was going to leave 2 years ago, and they bring somebody along, and then doesn't seem like that happened here. It seems like she was like, I'm out now.
Yeah.
Fairness is, this could be something as simple as she has a health issue, she has a family situation. All of that can be true. They usually get pretty specific about that and go, I haven't read that. Doesn't mean it hasn't been said. I don't read everything.
Sure.
But if this is just an abrupt, I'm out of the building, that's very rare at the C-suite level like this.
And all the comments were ruthless, because they were like, she had one job, one vehicle. It was a Chrysler Pacifico,
Yep.
And it was, you can just guess where the rest of them kind of went for Miss Chris.
Yeah, and unfortunately, she's a woman, and you know how people get. And I would say this. Chrysler has been one of those places that has not been invested in. That's obvious. They don't invest in that brand. The Pacifica, it seems like, is their last hope of keeping anything really going.
And the Voyager. Don't forget the
Yeah,
Voyager.
I just look at this and I go, I just don't know how this survives with this much turmoil, but it's not going away. I mean, it'd be really hard to shutter a car company that's operational. It's just not something that, just not something that happens because they can always find liquidity somewhere.
Yeah.
They can always get people bought into this major manufacturer. And as you go to things like one of the things we have to say about the automotive system in America, the reason that a lot of these manufacturing facilities don't close and manufacturing companies don't close is for things like we see happening in the Middle East now.
Mm-hmm.
The capability of switching these manufacturing plants over to something in a quote unquote wartime setting becomes very important. And it's something that's not talked about in American manufacturing conversations really at all.
I thought Chrysler was 100 years old, and it is actually. It's 100. It'll be 101 years old. If you can take it from that to 101, and a lot of that time you were just kicking the can down the road, what makes you think you can't kick the can down the road another 100 years? You can do it.
Yeah, they can
With
do it.
today's resources especially, it can be done.
They can do it.
Yeah.
If people are building $10 million car washes in the private equity market, you can find
bro, this is not the show for private equity, although we talk about it, but I hope, because I know Nick's, if I'm addicted to any type of content or subject matter, I know that Nick has some sort of sweet spot in his heart for finance, private equity, money, the way the whole system works.
Such a shit show now.
Private credit, I know it's a whole other topic, but it does involve cars at a certain point. I don't have it on the show notes, but I know we're going to start talking about it more.
I mean, way we can say it's intersected. Look at what was it called? First Brands. Look at their bankruptcy. That's all private credit related. You have a situation where, a lot of the infrastructure, big dealerships groups that were purchased, Tricolor, which went through, is going through a lot of fraud charges and whatever, a lot of private credit, through private institutions. And when I say private institutions, JP Morgan Chase has private credit.
I was just about to say there's a line there that people might not click. Like, we're not talking about JP Morgan. We're talking about who JP Morgan actually, and you know who the biggest holder of private credit is? Which one of the institutions? It surprised me, but maybe not. It's Wells Fargo.
Yeah.
They have double basically of what all the other
and that's why
have.
Jamie Dimon came out and said people are being irresponsible because he thought Wells Fargo private credit should have drawn back long ago.
Yeah.
I believe a letter went out to private credit clients that I think JP Morgan might have cut off private credit this week.
What?
And they're going to write down 30% of their private credit balance. For everybody, so you don't get lost, this is heavily in the automotive world.
Yeah.
You have a lot of big financing that you don't know exists. So take something like Mannheim, the auction. They're locked into the private credit market. It's not like they're self-sustaining. They're always accessing money and credit lines and private credit lines and all these different things to kind of make this lubrication work. It's the same in the housing market. It's same everywhere. There's just a lot of these pieces that people don't think about, but all of this gobbling up by private equity companies, you have 50% of Yale's endowment, I believe, is wrapped up in the private credit market. You have pension funds and state pension funds that are heavily invested. If this goes kaboom.
Well, investors are seeing a 16-year low on returns.
Well, not only that,
no one's getting money.
Did you see some of these private equity companies halted redemptions?
Yeah.
They said you're not allowed to get your money out.
Crazy,
which by the way, is going to end. The people that always win when you hear somebody's done something wrong, just think lawyers are about to make a lot of money.
All the money. You mean all the money?
Make all the money. So, but we need to understand for our car customers and the people who listen to us, this affects a lot of things. You have a lot of people floated through these credit arms that you don't get to see as a consumer because they're not forward facing, right? You don't know. Let's just take a group. Let's say a group owns 100 dealerships. They're not floating their own money. They're getting all of this. It's not shady. It's just the private credit market. It's just a credit market that you don't deal with as a consumer.
Yeah, it's a shadow banking system that most people aren't aware of.
Yeah. So, First Brands was sort of the one that got everybody to step back and go, what's going on here, you could have a lot of those very quickly.
Well, you know what? Since we're on the subject, and I'm glad I kind of brought it up because I knew you'd go off on that because I know you always keep up with it and you read about it.
Yeah.
The Cox Automotive family, that right? Like that.
They own everything.
Yeah, they own everything, right? So there's a page that gets sent to me every once in a while. Selling car spitting bars, I think it is.
Something like that. But yeah, I mean, he went over the Cox Automotive thing.
Yeah, okay, so you saw that one too.
They own Mannheim. They own all the CRMs. They own all the credit. You know, they own Kelley Blue Book. They own Auto Trader. Those are customer facing, but their real power is in the behind the scenes.
Right.
They essentially run the dealer market.
They run the market.
Yeah, the
period,
market,
basically.
meaning like how the business operates. You know,
Yeah.
the CRM they use and the credit checks they use. I mean, they run everything. You look at this and you go, these are the kinds of institutions that nobody knows about because you don't need to know about it. You're just buying a car or you're trying to learn what the next car you want to buy. Or, I mean, that's most of us. But you have a lot of these things that it's going to be an interesting 90 days. I mean, there's about a 90-day window here, just like there was sort of like a 90-day window in 2008, that if things break the wrong way and a couple banks make the wrong decisions, you could see the war in the Middle East will not be a thought for most Americans. It'll be, holy shit, this thing has imploded.
Dude, it's crazy. There's so much more that goes on in every market, but like the automobile market, there's so many arms to it. There's a lot of players in it, expensive cars, cheap cars, everybody in the middle, services, EVs, all that. It's just such an interesting industry, and you don't really hear a whole bunch of people who are, we can call them big players, talking about this stuff on a regular basis. Like, it's
I don't think most people realize, like, Mannheim is the lubrication of the used car market. Like, if you just look at it statistically, the amount of cars they move in every state all of the time. Like, you go to the one up here in, up by the Speedway that's kind of out far away from anything here in Vegas. If people just saw the parking lot.
Does Cox own that too?
Oh, yeah, they own Mannheim. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they own Mannheim.
What's the other one? Is it Odessa?
Odessa. Yeah, that's the boys over
Is that the
at
Carvana or
Yeah.
family or whoever?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. That, which, by the way, that Carvana situation.
Careful what
could
you
be,
say.
Yeah, allegedly.
Always allegedly.
Allegedly, you could see some real shaky things come out.
Could it
about
be
that group.
on purpose? Could it be?
I think they're doing a lot of transferring
Intentional?
between multiple companies, and I think they're keeping things off balance sheets, and they're playing a bit of a shadow game right now. But look, we all have to say this. I mean, CarMax is in serious trouble. I mean, when you see CarMax, which is an institution that's really been pretty good in the marketplace for a long time now, they're in real trouble. I mean, they basically are just sitting on loads and gobs of inventory. And the reason they're not lowering the price any more than they have is because the replacement cost, they can't go out and buy the cars. So if they lower the price, they can't go replace that car to then sell another car.
Right.
If they go any lower than where they're at now. So you kind of need this thing to come to a head. And that's why we've always told people, if you keep your car in good shape, you're happy with your car, sooner or later, the bubble's going to burst. Nobody knows when that's going to be. Anybody telling you they know that's going to be. But I can tell you this, in the last 12 to 16 months, we've just steadily seen things going down little by little, and you can see it in real time, but you're not seeing this dramatic thing everybody thinks. But you are seeing it trend lower and lower in the used market.
So interesting. So good little segue here, because stuff like this that we talk about on the show, and then obviously throughout the week, Nick and I, we're going to bring to a community platform that we're probably going to talk about after this episode's finished. And then if I can convince Nick to, check off on everything, come back and do like a tag at the top to invite you guys to this platform and kind of fill you in. So you're going to have the episode and then maybe like a little 5-minute powwow back at the front, tagged up there after the show's done. But I want to put that there because it actually brings me to, usually I'll send Nick emails in advance. Usually that's the only thing. We don't prep for anything else. I pull up the stories. Nick riffs. Nick off the top of the dome knows how to do it. But I have a couple of reoccurring themes that had come up to me in the last week or so. Would it be okay if I brought them up to you to get you to, expand on them? Okay. So Jose writes, and this is kind of like, all of these things are usually on subject with what we've talked about. Spring's right around the corner, and although I've even planned for a fun car purchase, nothing feels worth buying right now. It can't just be me feeling that.
No question. No question. It also depends on what you're looking at. I think that's what we have to take this with a grain of salt, right? If you're looking in a specific market, we've talked a lot about the 911 market, okay? That market for people trying to get in can oftentimes be kind of depressing because of you go, well, I've driven that car. I don't want to pay $96,000 for that car because
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like a $96,000 used car to me, but it does feel like a $72,000 car that I would be very happy to pay between $72,000 and $76,000 for. So I think it's market specific, right? We have to always say that part of the thing that I keep running into when we get questions like this or we get statements like this, which I believe I absolutely agree with, is also people haven't narrowed down their search. And then you can't really have a conversation because you go, well, okay, man, you got like 25 cars on this list.
Yeah.
It's all
Right.
going to feel overwhelming, right? It's all going to feel like it's out of whack.
Yeah.
So
Imagine having a list that big and then you're watching
But-
all these YouTubers driving those
but
cars
here's
too.
the
Like,
but here's the
what are you gonna
thing,
feel?
like you and I can say that's what people show us. They're like, I'm deciding between these 12 cars. It's like, yeah, that's not really something I can help out with.
Yeah. How are you gonna cross shop that many cars at once?
Yeah, so I think for everyone out there, there are certain segments in the market that can feel like I just don't agree with the pricing. There's definitely those markets. I think from there, once you identify you don't want to be in that market at that price, it's what you're shifting to that becomes important. Because just going from, let's just say I want to get, a 997 Porsche and it feels overpriced to me, which I agree it is. But then I go down and I go, well, then I want to get an E92 M3. Well, bud, that's an elevated marketplace too.
Yeah.
So you're going from elevated to elevated and you're not really giving yourself something to sink your teeth into and say, would I really enjoy doing this? So there's got to be, if all you're doing is looking in the elevated markets, I could see why people would be like, I don't want to pull the trigger on this.
And you just said something for whatever reason made me think of this, and not exactly advice, Jose, but still, like, if you can't find something in the fun area that you had planned to buy for already this spring, maybe look at another segment in your household. Maybe the wife's car can use an upgrade.
Good
Maybe
call.
your daily could use an upgrade, and then you kind of save because the fun thing is probably going to cost more than the family hauler or even your daily. So kind of scratches the itch, but also leaves you probably some money in reserves for the fun car to later come.
Yeah, like I just had a conversation with a customer of mine where, F430 prices from Ferrari have gone kind of a little nutty. And, that gated manual, it costs. You want to get into it now, it's going to
Price
cost
of
you.
entry.
It's going to, yesterday's price is not today's price. I mean,
My favorite quote. I don't know why it's one of my favorite quotes ever.
This is what it is, right? So, he's frustrated. And I go, do you want the car? Is the car still in something you can afford? If the answer is no, you got to move on. Don't just sit there and keep looking at it and getting mad. Like, that is what I hear so many people. By the way, I've been guilty of it. We all been guilty of it. You got to move on. You got to just say, I mean, like I said to him, move into the 360 market. You can manual swap those pretty easy. You can do things. You can do what you want to do. Or you got to pull the trigger on AF4. But just continuing to look at it is not
no bueno.
That's not, because you're not going to use the force to make that price go in half. That's not going to happen.
It's bad for your mental health. If anything's bad for your mental health,
and so that's what I would say to Jose or to any of you out there. Like, sometimes you just got to move on. I mean, when I was looking at my LX, Land Cruiser 100 series were just too expensive, and the LX was the better value. I would have liked to have just a traditional 100 series, but those prices just didn't make sense to me. It wasn't that I couldn't afford it, but I just go, that's not the experience. I can pay 21 for this one or get something similar and it's 34. Well, I'm not doing that. I'm not on this kind of car, right? Now, there's certain cars in the upper end of the market that you go, this one's 200, this one's 227. Well, you get the thing you want for 227 because that's pennies in that part of the market. But it's not. There are a lot of people who are looking sub 100,000. That's the majority of the market that moves cars. look, man, if it's $10,000 high, which by the way, Gen Raptors were $10,000 high at one point.
Yeah, a year ago.
You and I had every intention a year ago. I was going to pull the trigger on a Gen 1 Raptor, and I kept telling you, I'm like, these are just too high.
Yeah.
You waited it out, and then you go, I found a good deal, right? So there's just this thing that we have in the marketplace right now is that I think people are looking in these very hot markets because they're being told they're hot markets, and then they're pissed off at the price of the hot market.
Guys, when you get the invite to this community platform that we're going to build, I want you to remember this Gen 1 Raptor remark that Nick just made, because I actually put an Easter egg in there for you guys. So please remember that. All right, Jose, hope that helps out. Let us know what you end up buying. Tom, I enjoy the OEM Plus versus heavy mod chat. I can easily say that I'm leaning OEM Plus these days. 39 family, money to spend, but I don't have the urge. Have I outgrown the car culture, or do I need to buy a racing simulator? Personally, I think our boy here is trying to get the okay to buy a racing simulator.
Which, by the way, we sign off. That's a no-brainer. Go ahead.
No more discussion.
Yeah, go ahead. Let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
We got a lot of comments, both on both sides, where people were very understanding, saying, "Hey, I'm leaning that way," and then we had the hardos of the week that were like, "Oh, I have." What I find is that modification today seems to be more related to the level of car you start with. So I think the people that lean OEM plus, like this guy that emailed, he's probably looking in a class of vehicle that out of the box is already pretty good.
Hard to argue that.
Okay? You go buy a Mark IV Supra, they weren't that great out of the box.
There's a build list already by the time you buy it.
Yeah, I mean, to get what you want, what you've seen on the internet, you're modifying the hell out of that car. Because Mark IV out of the box was not the experience people think it was, especially for those that have never been in one. Great car, good cruiser, chilling. Is it anywhere near what you can get today at 450 horsepower out of the box with some things? No, it's not. So it's a modified car. It's I'm buying this to modify it. You'd say mostly in the Miata market. Guys that are deep in the Miata market, Miata racing, whatever, they know they're going into modification. I think we're seeing a divide that maybe we should have talked about last week. The people that seem to favor OEM Plus are buying a better out-of-the-box car that they don't have to get to, a respectable horsepower number, so to speak. It just kind of comes that way.
Yeah, I can't believe we didn't mention that. You're absolutely right. Like, that is such a good, it seems like now, obviously, in retrospect, an obvious observation. If you're going to buy an S5, for instance, or a BMW, whatever, for the most part, you're pretty good out the box for a while.
Yeah. And, your OEM Plus is, I'll put some coilovers on. Maybe I'll get a set of wheels that I like. Maybe I'll do some dining upgrades on the pulley system or intake or whatever I do. But you're not really trying to fool with something that was that good out of the box. Now, there's other BMW stuff that you do need to modify. And you go, this just wasn't that good out of the box, right? So just a normal 3 Series. You know what I mean? You go, I want to add some stuff to this. But if you buy a good M3 from whatever good year that you like, E46, E90, E92, those types of things, you go, I don't really need to go bonkers with this thing. Like, this is pretty good the way it came.
I'm not trying to shoot shots at our boy Marshall over at HyperClean HQ, but what is going on over there?
Oh, buddy, let's not get started. Let's not get started.
Okay, all right.
Like, let's not. I had a very long conversation with my business partner Marshall. He bought a 2003 Series, which is in fantastic shape.
Yeah, it is.
We've had some mistakes along the way. Okay?
Yeah, a couple hiccups.
We're getting him right, which, by the way, that's sort of the fun of it, right? Like,
absolutely.
Somebody getting into their first, sort of touching into the BMW world. You got to be kind of told what to do. You got to find out the mistakes.
I gotta find. Nick replied something that I was laughing. This might need to go on a Clutch Culture shirt in the future. God, what was it? Something about my eyes.
Yeah. Your mods are an assault on my eyes.
That's what it was, dude. Listen, if that's not a shirt, listen to me right now. That might be the first shirt of 2026 for Clutch Culture. That is so funny.
Yeah, no, it's everyone out there knows what I'm talking about. There's just certain
Your mods
things.
are an assault on my eyes is so good.
But I mean, that's where I think this OEM plus, heavy modification really starts, right? One of the crazy things to me that we didn't talk about, and it was our mistake, is like it just matters what you're buying from stock.
From start, yeah.
It really does. And it seems like we had a real divide between people that were buying a little bit more of an expensive car versus people that were buying a little bit more of a cheaper car. Neither one is right. You're just buying what you can buy or buying what you like. But that's the divide. The divide is how good is the car? Like, truthfully, how good was the car from the manufacturer?
The title of the show is just going to be "Your Mods Are an Assault on My Eyes." I'm going to have that shirt, and when I go to car shows, I'm just going to point to it. I'm not going to say anything.
Just look at them and go.
They'll know that I'm looking at their car, and they're looking at my shirt.
Dude, I saw a heavily modified Geo Tracker in like mint condition. Boy, was that thing awesome. I cannot believe somebody did this.
Why? Yeah, why?
Who cares? I was
That's
just like,
true.
I can't believe somebody did it right. I wouldn't even have dreamed up what he did.
What was doing it right? I'm curious.
I don't know. I couldn't even explain it. I just go, pick some good wheels, has it lowered properly, it's all shined up. I don't know, man. Looks kind of sick.
When I was young, I had a guy that I worked with. I was probably like 19, 20. Worked at a retail store, we'll call it. He had one of those, and the guy looked exactly like Louis Anderson. So it was just like you couldn't put a better image together of him getting in this little car. It was modified. He kind of knew cars too, and I'm like, this is the craziest thing I ever said. So for you to say that is like, wow, those memories right there.
Geo Tracker, what a random thing to come across my timeline. Like,
So
you
random.
know what? Looks kind of nice.
Kind of not mad at it.
No.
All right. Jake here says, if you sold your favorite car today and you were replacing it tomorrow, what would it be? You also got top dollar for the car you sold.
I would probably get into an E63 wagon.
Oh, okay.
If I got the right number for my BMW, I'd be probably in the E63 wagon. I just want the experience, not necessarily that like I need it for any reason. I just kind of want to check it off. It's like one of those things I just want to go.
Yeah, that's what the whole hypothetical is for, right? Yeah,
I own that.
I got that.
I enjoyed that. So
would you daily that or just have it in the stall?
It would be driven probably quite a bit. I'd probably drive it quite a bit. Like
it's pretty useful, honestly.
I might park the LX more if I had a wagon, just especially a high performance wagon. I still think if I could get into a manual CTV wagon, if I could get into that world for the right price, that would be another thing. I think I would probably, if I sold the BMW for the right price, I'd be looking in the wagon world to see, can I just check the experience off?
So that you said BMW, right? So that's the one you would sell? That's your favorite car right now?
Yeah, I mean, that'd be the car. My LX is just my daily, right? Like it's just something I enjoy dailying. It doesn't, value right now, with some of the things that I've done, we could be at $25,000 to $28,000. But yeah, man, if I sold my BMW, I'd want to have the wagon experience. I think that's the next thing to check off my list. And by the way, one thing I am enjoying following was Nick from Doug's show, who I think is hilarious. He's like, I don't know how he's not a permanent staple. Love that guy. Don't know him. I like
great personality.
Great personality.
Yeah.
He's manual swapping an E55 AMG wagon right now.
Oh yeah, on his YouTube or what?
Yeah. So
cool.
I'm invested. I'm like,
nice.
They did a walk around, and I'm like, you ever see those videos where like you're turning your head trying to see on the screen?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, what's that? So I just think it's an itch I would want to scratch pretty quickly if I sold what I have.
Nice. I got to make a note of that so I can follow that as well. That's awesome. I just got the Raptor, but that's probably the one. If I got top dollar for that, I'd probably sell that. And I still like the idea of a functional car, so it'd have to be a 4-door. But if we're going off the walls, I will say this: a Ferrari FF.
Yeah.
That's for whatever reason that car. Every time I see one, I'm like, I must experience one of these.
What if you went Viper?
You and the Viper, you keep putting the Viper.
I just want you to have the Viper.
I understand. So Brendan Schaub now, who lives in Austin, he was in a Calvo, whole Viper experience thing. He did a video of it. They're insane. I love those cars, man. It's one of my favorite cars.
Yeah, me too. I just like something about the look. I don't know what it is. It's just like it was like a generational thing for me. It like hit me at the right time, the right age when that thing was like when you saw them in person, it felt like an exotic.
It did.
I mean, because again, we kind of talk about this, even though I was around exotic cars at that time, you didn't see them driving like that. Not where I grew up. Like that wasn't happening. And I'd say most cities, it wasn't as popular as it is now. Exotics were just a lower production thing.
See, my mind went 4-door functional. Nick went to a fucking 2-door death trap, which I would love. Which I love. What's the quintessential color combo for a Viper? If it was yours, I got to go blue and white stripes. But I know you hate stripes.
Blue, if I could get that blue with no stripes, boy, that would be.
That's how you know Nick and I are similar, but still very different.
That would be real mint. That blue with no stripes would be really a special look.
Just eagles every time you step on the accelerator.
100%.
Just eagles.
Yeah, it'd be like the White House TikTok account in your car.
Boy, is that entertaining to watch these days.
Oh man, that's a wild scene over there.
Yeah, it's a wild time. Jake, hope that answers your question. Always fun to answer those. Last one before we get maybe to another story, before we land the plane. Danny says, this feels like it's beat to death, but I can't decide whether I should lease a new car or lease and invest or just pay cash and be out 70 to 80K, thinking C8 or Cadillac CT4/5 V Blackwing.
Well,
very different cars.
No argument for me on the CT5V with the manual. Yeah. I'd take that over a C8 all day long. By the way, C8's a great car. I'm not saying anything. I just think CT5V with the manual would be my vote. I don't think necessarily the question's being asked properly, because I don't think lease and paying cash are your only two options here. I would certainly say if you're trying to avoid a car payment because you think, that's all that a lease is a car payment. You're just financing the depreciation of the vehicle. That's what a lease is. There's nothing wrong with a lease. Look, if you have business, write-off potential, leases work great for businesses. So I don't know your exact situation. I wouldn't say you need to be out 70 or 80 grand either. I don't see anything wrong if you can get financing in order and you're okay with it, and you can put that money into an S&P fund or whatever. I think you're giving two opposite ends of the spectrum, leaving out the middle option. I'd probably tell you, if you buy a CT5V manual, I think that's going to hold its value incredibly well. Now, if the economy gets rocky and you see it drop, that doesn't mean sell it. That means wait this thing out.
It's a good store value.
Yeah, let this just kind of hang out. That, to me, would be a long-term vehicle. I'm going to keep this. So that's why the payments wouldn't really bother me. But I think you provided two opposite ends of the spectrums without talking about the middle.
I was going to say, and that's kind of an example of the internet. Maybe it's just the world right now is that everything has to be an extreme one way or an extreme the other. We're forgetting about the nuance in the middle.
Yes, great.
Especially with cars.
Way to put it. Like, that's how I feel. I'm not telling anybody to do with their money. This is a question. I just think if you go C8, then I think you need to be a little bit more cautious, because eventually those are going to fall like a rock, because the next generation's always better. So remember that about Corvette. The reason Corvettes don't, aside from COVID, the reason that these things don't hold value is because they make so many of them, even though on the placards at your local car show, they try to tell you it's one of one. It's one of about 10 billion of them. And it is going to fall in price. Doesn't mean C8's a bad purchase for a weekend, let's have some fun kind of car. I just think the CT5V, with everything being canceled, if you get the manual, it's going to be a nice piece to have to just hold on to long term. It's kind of what I told you about your Gen 1 Raptor. I mean, to me, it feels like that's a forever car. Now, what forever means to everybody, to me, it means you're going to keep it a very long time. Not necessarily, nothing is forever. Sure. But a forever car to me is, I could see me having this in my collection for 10 years. That would be considered a very long time in the car market, almost like forever. But yeah, I would buy and hold that car. Enjoy it. Put the mileage on it. I'm not saying let it sit in your garage. We had some guy comment on YouTube. He goes, "Well, it's pollen season, so I don't drive it." I'm like, "Well, I mean, you can wash pollen off. I mean, it's not that big a deal."
We have great products. It takes 30 minutes to do it.
I mean, come on, man. But it's your car. Do what you want. No judgment here. But yeah, I would be in the CT5V, Blackwing. I'd be in the manuals only. And I don't think you have to outlay all the cash. I think you kind of provided both ends of the spectrum there. I'd go ahead and have a payment on it and invest the rest of the money.
What a good, sensible answer. You know, if Nick's anything, he's sensible on the show. Outside of the show, could be a different conversation. Wild. You just don't know what kind of curveball he's gonna throw at you.
We're not allowed to say this on television.
Or anywhere.
Yeah, or anywhere on online platforms.
Man, what was
Be
the
like
last
Steve
thing
will do it, just getting banned from YouTube.
Oh God, yeah. Just blacklisted off of everything. There was one last thing you said to Danny here at the end that I can't remember what it was. I was gonna make a point on. Nope. In the middle, the S&P. Spend your money however you want. I can't remember if it comes back to me. I'll bring it up. But I will say I got here. That was all our questions for today. Hey, again, if they end up in a DM or an email and they're interesting, we will talk about it on the show. Clutch Culture Podcast. Clutch Culture Pod.
No, what is it, dude?
Damn it!
By the way, you screwed up the Gmail account.
This time.
It should have been It should have been the same as everything. Somehow you wrote podcast.
It wasn't available, believe it or not.
Well, that's a you problem.
It was a me problem, but I can only do so much. Clutch Culture podcast at gmail.com. All these socials are pod. For whatever reason, it wasn't available. And you know what's even worse is when you look for a name that you go find isn't being used.
Yes.
It's just
that's
there
what we
vacant.
have with our situation.
Really?
I think with Clutch Culture, right?
Yeah, that too. That's why I had to use pod. Regardless, it'll make it to the show. So thanks for sending stuff in. I got a random one here for you that I think is really cool. Maybe it just tugs at my heart a little differently because that's me. Look at this potential concept for a new GM square body.
That looks really good.
It does. I'm not playing audio because he's talking a little loud, but that looks awesome.
Yeah, it looks
if you're watching on YouTube.
Cool
look at the interior.
Yeah,
it's like modern, but you still got like these old classic kind of gauges.
Yeah, it's great looking, man. That's really well done. I mean, I sent you something on the that Toyota.
Yeah, I got it pulled up. You want to talk about it real quick? Up. Fantastic.
Boy, what a sticker shock that was for people.
Oh my God! It wasn't until you actually brought it to my attention that I realized just how much of a sticker shock.
Located in America, we're building these Toyotas. Boy, are they expensive.
You've heard it. Now let's jump into what this actually is. This is an LC79. This is a globally sourced vehicle.
Son of a bee.
What is going on here?
I don't know. The writing wouldn't go away.
You've seen it. You've heard it. Now let's jump into what this actually is. This is an LC79. This is a globally sourced vehicle and built in our Aiken, South Carolina location, which means it's legal in 49 states. Sorry, California. This is our prototype. Let's dive into what you can do for yours. You're going to get to pick your wheel and tire combo. It's going to be a 35-inch tire, and everything's going to be sitting on Dobinson 4-inch suspension. For options, you can pick your rear bumper. You can do a slimline, a swing arm, or the factory bumper. Standard, you're going to get a 40-gallon long-range fuel tank. You got three options.
EVAP codes coming out your ass.
From Toyota, you can do a full bull bar, or you can do a minimalized front bumper. To help you get in this truck, you can either have the factory running boards, automatic drop down, or rock sliders for those that really want to push it. Jump in our prototype interior. Biggest thing, 5-speed manual transmission, short throw shifter. In your production one, you're going to have 2 front bucket seats. In the rear, bench seat. All right, for everybody that loves cool. Unfortunately, standard is without a snorkel. If you want one, we do have an option for a safari-style metal snorkel, and that is because of the beast under the hood. Saving the best for last. Under the hood is a turbocharged built 1FZ engine making 500 horsepower to the rear wheels. It will have you grinning from ear to ear. If this truck is for you, head over to carcaveusa.com and jump online to our configurator to build yours today.
So let's talk about, this is the coolest thing in the world. They've done a fantastic job. You know, we're all on board. I haven't been deep on the configurator, but we're seeing prices at roughly $250,000 to $300,000. I mean, that's a little tough to take. I mean, this is where we get into sort of the grenadier conversation at times, and all of these things. Like, there's only so many rich dudes that want to own these cars, man. Like, And once they buy it, they're not going to come back and buy it again. That's not how this thing works. I really wish none of this is going to be cheap, right? Doing all the kind of work and putting this all together and sourcing all this stuff, that's just not cheap. 250 to 300 seems like, I don't know who you guys are selling to, but maybe, 100 rich people. And they got to be the right 100. I mean, like Elon Musk isn't buying this. Like, he's not a car guy like that. There you go. It's based off this. Yeah.
185 to start. If you would just want a 200 horsepower NA, and then you got all the way up here to 300 grand.
The one you'd want.
The only one.
Only one you want. Yeah. No, it's
a 15-step process too if you want to customize this whole thing.
Yeah. And every customization is going to cost you a pretty penny. I mean, so again, you can see the 185 and you think to yourself, okay, and then everything you want, and all of a sudden you get out and it's 273 and you go, well, I think I could use money a different way. Like, go get a 100 series Land Cruiser, low mileage, go get, a Bentley GT to drive around on the used market. Dude. I mean, you could have a 3-car solution that would still accomplish what you wanted to do with this vehicle.
Depending where you are, you could have 3 cars and 3 houses. Just depending where you are.
If you're like downtown Detroit, you could have 3 houses and 3 sweet cars.
Here's another interesting thing. I saw Laura Senko, great UFC commentator, very easy on the eyes, of course, obviously. She was in Italy, and her and her husband and her son were getting a tour of the Pagani factory. And what was interesting was seeing how many Paganis were getting made at once. And in my mind, it goes back to the conversations we have. How many people are out there buying brand new custom Paganis?
Well, enough.
Enough, right? There you go. That's always the answer.
Right.
It's enough.
So,
don't worry about it. If you can't afford it, don't ask the questions.
Yep, enough. I mean, that's what we're seeing is that got a lot of money around the world, and they're not beholden to just the rich people in America, right? Where this car company that was doing the Toyota rebuild here, they're beholden to the American market. So you're shrinking all of these people that Pagani gets to talk to, right? That these other car companies get to talk to. So it's going to be interesting following this company that you showed the clip of. I want to cheer them on. Yeah. I'd also love to talk to them and go, how many people can you really sell this to? Because the people interested in this, maybe you can put this on some hunting reserves, and there ain't that many of those that are going to be paying $300,000 for a get around the hunting reserve. They'll just buy a Raptor. They'll just buy 3, 4 Raptors, 5 Raptors. So I'm just kind of wondering, because we don't know. I don't know what they see in their business model. I don't know who they're, what they see in their research. But they didn't do this out of the blue. I don't want to say anybody just does it out of the blue. I would like to know how many people they think they're really, and how many they have to sell. Hell, if they sell 10 a year, they're like, we got a good company. I mean, that could be the case too.
And I don't think they're going to leave this out in the hunting field. Imagine like the guy that I ran into or that I talked to that had the F-150 where rodents ate all of his shit. Imagine paying $300,000 and then it's just useless in a week. Oh, my God. It could happen.
It could happen.
You don't do that. Hey, extra great episode, a little long. Love it. Again, hopefully we come back at the top of the show with a couple of instructions on how to join the community that we're building. We're trying to keep the good hang going outside of the podcast just because there's a lot to talk about, a lot to dissect, and a lot to distribute out into the world that doesn't get talked about a lot. So, without further ado, that's all I got.
Yeah. Didn't know how to land the plane.
I know. Oh, my God. That's only happened a few times where, like, you're done, and then you say without further ado, like, no, dummy, like, you're done.
Yeah. No, it's guys, take this for what it is. Maybe Rob just needs a break, take a nap. I don't know.
Didn't older. Stick the landing. Whatever. See you next week.
All right, guys.